So hello and welcome to this tutorial on recursion, the basics of recursion, and writing recursive methods in Java. Now, recursion in its simplest form is repetition. So this is mainly seen in, for example, recurring numbers, where 3.3 recurring would be 3.33333, etc. As the number is reoccurring or recurring, which is repeating and occurring over and over again. Two other examples of this in real life I've got here are fractals. So for example, this image repeats one pattern over and over again to create this whole image, this little spiral pattern. And another example is snowflakes, for as we can see here, on each straight side each time another triangle is added. And this builds up over and over to eventually create this sort of snowflake pattern. Now, recursion in computer science can be defined as a method where the solution to a problem depends on solutions to smaller instances of the same problem, or in simpler terms, a method that calls itself. So breaking this down a bit, this is a method in which the solution to the problem that you're trying to solve actually relies on the solutions to the recurring problem. So the pattern must repeat and the method must repeat and call upon itself, as shown here, to solve the main overarching problem. Now, writing recursive methods in Java, I'm going to use a common example, which is reversing a string. So I'll just show you what that looks like right now. If we run this class that I made earlier. So ask me for a string to reverse. I'm going to use the common phrase hello world, and there it gives me my reverse string. So now, to write one of these in Java, we need to follow about 4 simple steps. Now, the first step is to write an if statement. Now, every recursive method needs an if statement, otherwise there's going to be nothing that actually stops it from constantly repeating, etc. And it requires this first case out of these two cases, which is the recursive case. Now, this is where the method calls upon itself, so this could be either in or out of the if statement. And then the recursive method also requires a second case, which is called the base case, where the method does not call itself, and this is often inside the if statement. So if I go ahead back into Eclipse, see I've started a new method here called reverse, and this is going to return a result of a string. Now, to write our if statement, simply put it in like so. There's nothing inside there yet, it's not going to do anything, etc. Now, continuing on, step 2, we're going to need to handle the simplest case. Now, this base case, as it's otherwise known, set up here, is the case where no recursive call is needed. So, for example, with our string reversing example, the most basic case is going to be when the string length is 1 or 0, because you can't reverse that. You literally just have to print it. So it's going to look like this. So we see our if statement is going to contain if string length is less than 2, so if the string length is 1 or 0, then we're just going to return the string itself. So, for example, if the string was A, it's just going to return A, because you can't reverse that, it's one character. And if the string is empty, it's just going to return an empty string, because again, you can't reverse that. Now, step 3 is writing the recursive calls. This is the next step up in complexity. You're moving up from your base case or your simplest case, where obviously a recursive call is needed. So this is where the string is anything but a string of length 1 or 0. So to do this, we're going to set a return value that includes the method itself, so reverse is my method name, and we'll set it to str substring 1. So that's going to keep returning it's going to keep calling the same method and returning the substring at index 1 of our string here. So moving on to the next step, after we've written that, in order to understand it, we need to assume it works. So assuming that recursive call works, which it does, essentially, we need to have a look at what it's currently doing. So at the moment, if I go back to Eclipse, we are just returning the substring at index 1, etc., etc., calling upon the same method. And then the last question we need to ask ourselves is, what does it need? So if I was to run this right now, okay, let's not run it right now, let's actually give it something to run. So I'm just going to enter in a little bit of something to make it look pretty, essentially. So enter the string you'd like to reverse. And then system.out.line. Here is your reversed string, as we had before, and then the method being called using the user's input. There we go, that's better. So again, we'll put in hello world. It stops. Now, what does it need to fix that is what we need to look at. So it's currently only printing the last character of our string. So there's one simple thing we can add to that, which is the first character of the string, essentially. So if we run that and try hello world this time, it works. We receive the whole thing. And that is the basics of writing a recursive method. You just need to remember those 4 steps, and you've seen an example. Yeah. Thank you for watching.